Well, hello, everyone. I'm so excited today. We have Julie Jones, a former police officer, a SWAT member who empowers individuals to conquer fears, embrace authenticity, and seize each moment. An award winner speaker, international best-selling author, and a breakthrough coach. She hosts the TV show Stop Waiting, Start Living, and Get Shit Done podcast. That sounds like a fun podcast. Julie is certified in NLP, mental and emotional release, and hypnosis. Julie's expertise is the working genius. She facilitates personal and team breakthroughs, a dynamic networker. She catalyzes business growth and community impact. Recognized as a top influencer, Julie's legacy is defined by relentless fundraising for local causes. Well, thank you so much, Julie. I'm so excited about today.
Well, I am so excited to be here, Natalie. Thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. I always love connecting with amazing women like yourself so that we can have an honest conversation.
I love it. And it was funny because I'm like, Julie, what do you want to talk about? She's like, I am an open book. I love that.
Well, it is because, really there's no topic off the table for me. I've shared a lot. I mean, my very first book that I wrote, Stop Waiting, Start Living, disclosed some pretty, personal things that had happened to me that were part of my story, didn't define my story. And then
Right.
when I handed out the book to like family members and all that kind of stuff, they're like, holy cow. And
Right?
I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I did write about that.
That's awesome. Well, just like a former police officer, like I look at you, I can't imagine you out there fighting crime. Like that's scary. How was that?
Crime fighter. I need
Did you
to,
have a super cape?
no, but like I could, here's what, these are my superhero glasses, right? These are my superhero glasses of how I show up these days, right? Yeah, it was an interesting dynamic at that point in my life, like going into law enforcement, because originally I was very strong in math and science when it came to going to school. And I thought I was going to be a medical technologist. And then kind of at the ninth hour, as I was picking colleges, I decided I wanted to get my degree in criminal justice and be FBI or Secret Service.
Wow.
However, Secret Service, you had to have almost 20/20 vision uncorrected, and I was legally blind. So that kept me out of the realm of Secret Service. And I'm like, okay, well, now what? So that was when I decided to go into law enforcement because I really wanted to make a difference, right? Like I think that we all have like this drive sometimes, like, how are we going to make a difference? I don't know why I thought it was going to be in law enforcement. And I was a very good police officer. I was the type of person that I guess people would open up to because I treated people fairly.
Yeah.
And, it was a great career for 10 years, but then it was time to move on to something else.
Right. So what is your story of resilience that you would like to share with us?
Well, it comes in the line of, being in law enforcement. And one of the most difficult jobs that I ever had to do was make death notifications, like to let people know that their loved ones were not coming home due to a tragic accident, whatever that accident looked like, right? Yeah, I mean, people plan that they're going to have the rest of their life, and then in just a moment's notice, everything is gone, taken away, not only for that person, their life, but how life looked for everybody else around them. Like it's gone. And so really, really a challenge to have to make those notifications. And then in my own life, at the age of 59, my mom passed away from early onset Alzheimer's. And she's been gone almost 20 years. 30 short days after my mom passed, my grandmother passed. So two strong, influential women in my life that were suddenly gone. And it took a lot at that point, like a lot to pull myself back up and say, okay, what is it that you really truly want to be doing? And how do you want to leave your impact?
Yep. I can't even imagine, first of all, having to tell a family member that. So that would be devastating to have to do that. So you have to be a very strong person. And you're so right that we are not guaranteed tomorrow. And that's what I talk about with legacy. And we have so many similarities of how we look at life and say, you know, stop wasting it, live your life to the fullest, and make that difference. You know, if you're doing some humdrum job that you're not happy with, make that switch, which I love that you did that. You went from something that you're like, okay, been there, done that. And what's the next chapter? So, okay, go ahead.
No, but like I just think about like you too, like with what you're doing with legacy, right? And helping people to leave that legacy. Because in my own personal life, like I look at things, and we may have shared this the other day that when we were talking, but my mom having been gone 20 years, I have no voice recording like of my mom, and nor did I capture her story. Her story is really for me now based on the memories that I have, or going back to my
Sure.
brother and saying, okay, what do you remember about mom? And one of my most treasured memories now that I have of my father, who passed away 4 years ago, is a voicemail that he left me. A voicemail with his, voice, and leaving me a loving birthday message. And why I saved it, only God knows, right? Like, but I know that I saved it for a particular reason. And now both my parents are gone. And I would give anything to have written down those stories, or captured their
Yeah.
voices, or, have that legacy. I'm part of that legacy, right? And like my legacy has always been about helping people. However, and I gained that from my parents, but
Right.
having that in written form or verbal form would mean
Yeah.
the world to me right now.
Absolutely. And even the stories, and this is why I share with people, you know, don't let the little things stop you for pulling up the camera, or pull up a Zoom meeting and just press record and then share it. Make sure that you share it where it is. Don't leave it in your Zoom account and don't tell anyone. But yeah, because do you know your parents' first date? Do you know how they met? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But wouldn't it be fun to hear them talking about that and sharing, both sides? Maybe they were nervous to meet each other and go out. Maybe the one really didn't like the other at first. Who knows? But just to have those little fun stories to pass down to your kids type of thing. And just like you said, that message that you can go back and listen to of your father's voice, and just give you that peace and love,
Mhm.
there's nothing better. And we talked about this the other day too, that documentary. When I saw the 9/11 phone calls from the tower, I mean, I went through an entire box of Kleenex. It was just sobbing. These people were hearing their loved ones at the last minutes of their lives leaving a message because they couldn't get hold of them, but then their loved ones going to that message and never wanting to delete it and listening to it over and over. So imagine if it wasn't something so horrific as that, and it could be just a message of appreciation and love.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for so many of us, I don't think that we're always speaking out what we want to say. So for
Right.
instance, like every time, and I am grateful for that as well, that, my parents and I would talk, especially with my dad, because I mean, I had him now for the last, he outlived my mom by about 15, 16 years. Like every single phone call was ended with, I love you. And
Oh,
that's the same thing with my brother. It's just the two of us left. But I took it upon myself probably within the last 10 years, because I really do love like my friends. And so there's a lot of people that I say I love you to,
mm,
as a way of me wrapping up a phone call, because I never want somebody to question as to whether or not that's how I felt. Like
yeah.
I will say it till I'm blue in the face, right? I mean, it doesn't really
Awesome.
matter. And sometimes like I could hear that like moment of silence, like, did she just tell me she loves me? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah, I did, right? And you don't have to say it back. I'm not asking you to say it back, but I'm
Right.
just letting you know how much you mean in my life.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what makes you different as a coach than a lot of other coaches out there? Other than you wear a chicken hat sometimes.
Right. Yes. Like I wear I wear these and I have like all
Right.
kinds of different crazy hats. And if you could see today, I've got a skull necklace on
I
along
was
with my
looking at
skull
that.
with
I
my
like it.
skull earrings, right? Like I'm a big Day of the Dead kind of girl. So
Nice.
what makes me different is exactly that. I am not a cookie cutter approach. I was just having a conversation with someone earlier today about the fact that I don't get a lot of certifications. Now, I do have some certifications in the arena of neuro-linguistic programming and mental and emotional release, as well as hypnotherapy.
Right.
However, as far as coaching goes, I say that like I got my schooling from the School of Hard Knocks, right? I
Right.
mean, being law enforcement, but I've also invested a lot of time and a lot of money into different programs to be the best version of myself. Plus, I hire coaches as well because
Yeah,
I always tell people it's a red flag if you potentially have a coach that doesn't have a coach.
I
'Cause
agree.
I don't have it all figured out. And I'm always learning and learning from them and growing with them. And then how I can impart, that information and share it with my clients as well. So everything is customizable and I don't take every client. So there has to be a match of energy.
Right.
But more importantly, it's that you're willing to invest the time and the money in yourself. Because, see, I'm going to give you the best information I've got. And trust me, I have $1 million ideas all the time. What
Right.
are you what are you going to do with it? Like, are you going to apply it? See, knowledge is power, but more importantly, applied knowledge is power. So how are you going to take with what I'm sharing with you and how are you going to apply it to life, to business, to what it is that you want most? And I have unique approaches, especially coming from law enforcement, that I'm going to give it to you very direct. Like nobody pays me for fluff. I'm going to be direct to the point, but come from a loving space that
Right.
really supports you in the life that you say that you want to create.
And that's what a lot of people need because I mean, I've had many coaches and some are the fluff, and they don't really help you to move forward. And then some are so harsh, you're like in the corner, like rocking, going, I can't take this. And I see you as a perfect blend of that. I can see you kicking butt and giving a hug right after.
Well, thank you. I call it kicking and kissing. Like I'll kick you in the butt and then I'll give you a kiss afterwards. And
I
I
love
promise that I won't put the handcuffs on and make you sit in the corner either. Right? But it's got to be
it.
this whole idea of like tough love.
Right.
And you've gone through your entire life sometimes without people telling you what it is that you really need to hear. And it, it doesn't, it's feedback.
Yeah.
See, so many people look at things in life as like failure or however they want to look at it. I look at it as feedback.
Right.
Feedback is important for that you to learn and grow. One of the best feedback exercises I was ever part of is that I went to a leadership seminar. And at that leadership seminar, it was a seminar just strictly for women. Now, I had an aversion to always hanging out in big groups of women because I had been bullied in both grade school and high school, right?
Oh,
So, like,
wow.
I had my trusted friends. But as soon as I walked into a room full of women that I didn't know at that time, and that was back in 2014, I would shut down. I would shut down and not show up as myself because I didn't know how I was going to be treated based on my previous experiences. And so one of the things we had to do is we had to stand in front of every single woman at that event and get her immediate first impression of us, right?
Oh,
Like,
wow.
and
Okay.
so you want to talk about like the tears streaming down. Everybody thought that I was intimidating, that I was, a bee, like all these kinds of things. And I was like, that is not who I am, but that's how I was coming across
Okay.
because when I was in an uncomfortable situation, my facial expressions would change. And I kind of had that look like, don't come near me because I didn't want to be hurt. And
Sure.
so for me, that was so eye-opening and how it has shifted me almost 10 years later to show up as I want to show up and not be afraid and have the courage to be who I was born to be.
Yeah. That's huge. I can kind of relate to that because when I first started publishing, I had come from the corporate world. So it felt like I was like, they're going to see me as this person, not this person. And I just dove into it, learned as much as I could so I could live up to, calling myself a publisher. And now it's been 8 years later, drinking from a fire hose of publishing. So, but I remember going through my near-death experience and coming back and realizing, oh my gosh, my story needs to get out. People need to know what I'm feeling, that you may not have tomorrow. And if you don't start leaving a legacy, it could be too late, or you'll be 80 and you're dying with regrets because you should have jumped out of the plane when you were 40, And so to go from behind the scenes to putting myself out there, it's still like, even though people will say you're so outgoing, you're just easy to talk to and stuff, I'm shy. It's hard for me to. I remember at the last event we were at together and you pulled me up on stage and I was like, but I'm getting better and better. And, if you can't go up on stage with someone wearing a chicken hat and feel comfortable, then right.
That's right. That's right. Well, and that's what it's about, because when people see me, and people may secretly roll their eyes or do whatever when they see me, because I've been known to show up in costumes and again, not cookie cutter, right? And people are like, they'll come up to me and be like, oh, I wish I could be like you, or I wish I could wear that, or I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
And my answer is, and why can't you? There's
Yeah.
nothing stopping us except for what I call the stinking thinking. The
Right.
idea that people are so like worried about what you're going to look like. It's like, I've given that up a long time ago, right? Like, people love my hair, my short blonde spiky hair. And people come up to me all the time about that as well. I'm like, why don't you do it? Well, I would look terrible.
Yeah.
What's
Right.
the worst case scenario? You get it done. You don't like it. Like, I mean, you just
Grow
wear
it
a
back.
wig you wear a
Yeah.
wig for a while, or you grow it back, or you do
Yeah.
whatever. But that's my point in everything that I do. Like, why are you waiting? Why
Yeah.
are you wishing? Why are you hoping? Just do it. Like, nobody has ever died from changing their haircut, right? Or changing their hair color.
Right.
At least
That we know
that
of.
I know of, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's okay. I mean, and maybe, it happens and people might look and they're like, okay, well, I'm like, whatever. You don't have I just say, well, it's not you. You don't have to wear it, but people seem
Yeah.
to like it, and it's okay. Like, nothing lasts forever. But you know what does last forever is death, and dying with regrets of what
Mhm.
you didn't do versus everything that's possible and what you could do.
Absolutely. And being so serious in life, right? That's what it's like. Life is too short to take everything serious and worry about this or that and just have fun and look at what you want to accomplish in life and then figure out a way to do it.
I have a quick story that really illustrates this, Natalie. So, and maybe you've heard it before, but if the Grim Reaper came knocking at your door, knock, 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 and said, hey, Natalie, it's time to go. Like, your time here on Earth is done. You're going to be like, heck no, I'm not ready to go. So you call your best friend, Julie. And Julie's like, are you crazy, Natalie? Like, I've got a lot of stuff left to do. You can go with the Grim Reaper, right? So like, it's
Thanks,
like,
Julie.
yeah, this great story, right? So my point to this is that people won't die for us. So why do we allow them to live for us?
I love
Like,
that.
we allow people's opinions and their thoughts and all these things to really, truly matter.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Right.
It's your life, and live it the way that you want to live it. Right. And
Absolutely.
no excuses. I mean, it's just, granted, like, if it's criminal, well, then that's a whole nother story.
Right.
However, what I'm telling you is that, like, stop again. It's like, if you want to, you want to jump out of the airplane and go parachuting, go parachuting.
Yeah.
If you want to go to that country, or, whatever it is, or you want to take burlesque or like whatever
Right.
class it is that's
Yeah.
been burning a hole in your heart and you're like, oh, I don't know what people are going to think of me.
Doesn't
Just
matter.
go do it.
I love it. Yep, absolutely. So, what is one of your favorite success stories?
Oh, well, I have a lot of those. And I've actually had a lot of those like this past week too, where people are doing these breakthrough sessions that I do, and they're really transforming their life. And so, like we all have this emotional baggage that really keeps us locked in place. And so an event happens to us, we experience an emotion, and now we label ourselves. So every time we maybe experience that emotion again, or maybe we, have a similar event, whatever we label ourselves as I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't bring value, whatever it is, yada, 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 right? Like it keeps reoccurring and keeps us stuck. So, just recently, like people, some of the biggest things that I've seen a couple of my clients have who live with an edge of anger. Like I know who they are truly deep down, but they
Yeah,
always have this sense of anger. Like that people may be afraid to approach them because that anger kind of holds them back. And it also shows up then for them like in making money, because again, when you're showing up with what you don't know is this edge of anger, people like may want to keep their distance a little bit. So several of my clients recently have released that edge of anger, and
nice.
boy, like how is life opening up? They see things that are possible for themselves right now. They're
Yeah,
working on making more money than they've ever done before. All those things that used to stop them in the past, they're moving forward, they're pushing forward, and they're having fun doing it. Like, from anger to fun and really truly loving the path that they're on. Let's be honest, life is not rainbow sunshine and unicorns, right? But it's your perception and
yeah,
how you look at things. And, if you always think it's going to be a downer day, well, then I'm here to tell you it's going to be a
yes,
downer day,
right.
right?
Absolutely. And I feel like you carry those emotions in your cells. And that's what you're walking around just going, anger, anger, or, whatever. And you're exactly right. People kind of step back and they can feel that vibration. I've worked with a lady that talks about when inside you're looking at the reality of, say, finances, and you're so desperate inside to get that sale, people just like, they can feel it.
Called commission breath, Natalie. It's called commission breath, right? Like, I mean, it really truly is like
Yeah,
human beings are human lie detectors.
yeah,
So, like, if somebody's coming at you about something and like you may not know exactly what it is, but you're feeling something's off, it's an emotional output that they're bringing to the party. It's like, it could be, you and I meeting and then like all the baggage that we're bringing along and like we're all trying to meet and all try to have this party, and it's, like maybe sometimes not meshing, right?
right.
And that's why people sometimes have the challenges that they do with communication or what they really say that they want in life, but it's not showing up. It's because they're living from what I call an internal representation. It's their reality. It's their reality. And it's almost like a filter over everyone's eyes when we have so much emotional baggage tied into our life and our events.
Absolutely. So if someone's out there and knows they're carrying around some baggage or something, and they want this transformation from you, how can they get it?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. So, what I'm really excited about is that I'm going to be doing mini breakthrough sessions at my event that is happening here in Phoenix, September 29th and 30th. It's a live event. You can come and you can experience board breaking, which is a mini version of
Right.
having a breakthrough session. And you can find out more information on that at stopwaiting.biz. That's BIZ. You can also find it at my website as well, juliejones.biz, if that's easier to remember. B-I-Z. I'm all about the B-I-Z, right?
I'll put it
And
in the show notes
yeah,
as
it's in the
well.
show notes. Thank
Yeah.
you. But like if they reach out to me, on my website, and they, can contact me and say, "Hey, Julie, I'd like to find out more information about a full breakthrough session," because a full breakthrough session is a little bit more in depth. But
Mhm.
like if you are tired of like spending so much time and so much money and still not having the results that you're looking for, and you're really truly struggling, like let's have a conversation. I can explain it. I can give you, like plenty of testimonials of how it is shifting people's lives. And in fact, there's going to be a panel of clients that will be at my event speaking to
Okay.
what the breakthrough sessions have been able to do for them.
Nice. Well, I know just us talking the other day, you're like spewing out ideas. I'm like, woo, woo, yes. So absolutely. That event sounds amazing. So, um, what message would you want to leave the audience? Is there one?
The message that I love to leave people is that it starts off with like God doesn't make mistakes, right? And so you were put on this earth for a particular purpose and for a particular message. And Natalie, you have a message on legacy that you share. And I can talk about legacy, but sometimes it's not going to be heard from people from me like it is from you, because that is your purpose and your message.
Right.
So whatever that message is, you don't need to be on podcasts. You don't need to be on stages. Just share your message and know that you're on the right track. And go ahead, and even if you're just speaking to people that like in your community, in your family, in your neighborhood, like
Yeah.
it has a ripple effect. And see, like you are doing such a disservice when you're not out there sharing what that message is, because all of us have a message. And that's why I have all the platforms that I do, just like you. Like I have the podcast, I have the TV show, for people to share their message, because everybody's message and everybody's story is important and it needs
Yeah.
to be heard.
Absolutely. That is so, so true. Um, many and women are the worst at this. They feel like I was a stay-at-home mom. I don't really have a legacy to share. Oh my gosh, you raised humans and they're alive and thriving. What were those little things that you did to make your family special, or to make, your certain traditions like Christmas or Hanukkah, stand out in your family's minds? Like, that's what I want to change, is everybody's message matters. And you're exactly right about, you don't have to start on a stage. You can start in your own family and then branch out in the neighborhood and just your community and the schools and stuff, and make an impact on someone. So I love
Absolutely.
that. Well, me and legacy. I love talking about legacy. So let's talk about, what was your favorite family tradition growing up?
So I was raised Catholic, and I also am 100% Polish. Now I know people are out there like, "Oh, sure you are." I did the DNA testing and I'm 100% Polish. And
Okay.
so we had a Polish Catholic tradition called opłatki. And
Oh,
opłatki was like breaking of bread. So every Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, everybody gets what looks like a wafer, and you go up to somebody that's at dinner, and they break a piece of yours, you break a piece of theirs. You eat the bread or the wafer, and then, you exchange, sentiments of affection and what you want to wish
oh,
for the
that's
next year. And
beautiful.
it is. And, you can find a Pocky on Amazon, interestingly enough, because, I'm always searching for it to make sure that I have it. And I've also introduced it to a lot of friends, a lot of people that have become like family, and they love the tradition. And it
Yeah.
wouldn't be the same for me for Christmas if I wasn't bringing that tradition in.
So spell that, what that is.
Okay, it's spelled
Sorry.
Oplatki, Oplatki.
Opłatki.
Yes, I'll try.
I,
I'll make sure I have the correct spelling, and you can always add it to the show
we'll look it
notes
up.
too. Yes, yes.
Well, thank you for that, because I love that's what I love is everybody was raised a little different or a different ethnicity or whatever, but there's so much we can learn and bring into our own families to make our traditions better and more meaningful. So that's awesome. So next legacy question, what was the one thing you would most love to be remembered by? Or
My heart,
remembered for?
my heart and my kindness, the ability that I just really was put on this earth to be able to make a difference
Mhm.
and to serve people wherever they are. Like I being bullied in grade school and high school, I always made it a point to befriend people who didn't have anyone. Like that were truly alone so that they would not feel so alone. And so in my life now and in my world now, like people are always welcome. Like there's always room for one more at the table for the holidays, for like friendship circles, whatever it is. I always have, a place for you if you find that you are alone.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
You.
Well, if I were you guys, I would be looking and getting into that event, the 29th and 30th of the month. Go have a breakthrough. It's going to be an amazing event. Get hold of Julie. What's the website again?
The website is juliejones.biz, B-I-Z.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie. It's been an honor, and I love the legacy that you're leaving.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for having me on the show. I love the legacy that you are helping people to leave.
Oh, thank you.